What happens when a billionaire disguises himself as a poor security guard just to find true love? Meet Chinedu, a man with everything but no real connection. In a twist of fate, he enters a new world at his father's company, hiding his true identity and crossing paths with Amaka, the woman who could change his life forever. But what will happen when the truth comes out? Will love conquer all? Watch the journey unfold and don't forget to comment your thoughts below. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button, and may blessings come your way for your support. The scent of imported mahogany and leather filled the luxurious study room on the top floor of a private estate in Victoria Island, Lagos. The city lights twinkled outside like restless stars, but Chinedu Emeka Okafor wasn't looking. His sharp, well-tailored navy blue kaftan clung to him as he sat slouched in a handmade Italian chair, surrounded by everything a man could ever want, yet feeling like he had nothing. Aged 30, Chinedu had been groomed from birth to inherit his father's empire, Okafor Holdings, one of Nigeria's largest real estate conglomerates. His father, Chief Emeka Okafor, was a respected Igbo businessman with political influence stretching from Lagos to Abuja. His face was on magazine covers, his voice on radio commercials, and his name on the plaques of high-rise buildings. Chinedu, however, carried the burden of the Okafor legacy with quiet resentment. Despite his charm, his education in the UK, and his business acumen, he always felt like a prisoner of his surname. People didn't see him, they saw money, status, power. And nowhere was that more painful than in his romantic life. He had just ended a 2-year relationship with Ifeoma Benson, a glamorous lawyer known for her beauty and elite connections. When Chinedu had faked a financial setback, telling her he was temporarily cut off by his father, she vanished within a week, replacing candlelight dinners with brunches with a senator's son. That betrayal stung deeper than he admitted. "I'm not even sure who I am anymore," he murmured to himself as he poured a glass of palm wine, ignoring the imported cognac beside it. He paced to the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the streetlights flicker over the gated compound. That was when the idea hit him, not like a spark, but like a slow-burning fire that had been waiting to be lit. What if he walked away from it all? Just for a while. What if he became someone else? Someone without wealth? Someone ordinary? His father had just launched a new housing project in Abuja. Hundreds of security guards, janitors, technicians, and admin staff were being hired to keep it running. No one in that branch had ever met him. Chinedu could blend in if he wanted. Start from the bottom. No privilege. No shortcuts. Just live like an average Nigerian. And maybe, just maybe, he'd find someone who cared for the man, not the money. He picked up his phone and called his driver. "Prepare for a trip to Abuja," he said calmly. "But tell no one, not even my father." The driver hesitated. "Sir, may I ask?" "No questions. I'm going to disappear for a while." That night, Chinedu packed only essentials. No designer clothes. No Rolex. Just thrift store jeans, worn boots, and a black cap. He shaved his beard to look less like the young tycoon often photographed at Lagos events. He would go by a different name, Colonel Odigun, a made-up identity with a borrowed ID, arranged discreetly through an old contact. He applied for a night shift security job at the Abuja housing complex using that alias. No one at the site would know who he truly was. As his private jet lifted off into the cloudy Lagos sky, Chinedu felt a strange sense of freedom he hadn't felt in years. But what he didn't expect was that his journey to find love would soon entangle him in a web of betrayal, class war, and danger that no money could protect him from. The scorching heat of Abuja's midday sun bore down on the freshly painted walls of the sprawling housing estate, Green Haven Residences, a new luxury project owned by Okafor Holdings. Dust rose from the red earth as construction trucks came and went, while uniformed workers hustled around the grounds, completing the finishing touches. But no one paid much attention to the quiet man who arrived with a faded duffel bag slung over his shoulder. "Name?" barked the HR officer sitting behind a metal desk in a temporary container office. "Colonel Odigun," Chinedu replied, keeping his voice neutral. He was dressed in worn jeans, a plain gray polo shirt, and dusty sneakers. A far cry from the linen suits and suede loafers he used to wear just weeks ago. The officer, a woman in her early 30s named Mrs. Mojapo Gundiel, looked him over with suspicion. "You're here for the night shift security position?" "Yes, ma," he answered with a slight nod. She flipped through his forged documents, squinting at them before stamping the corner of his file. "You'll start tonight. Go to the East Wing, report to Supervisor Bala by 7 p.m. sharp. One warning, if you sleep on duty, you're out. No second chances." Chinedu gave a polite nod and left the office, his heart pounding. The lie had worked. For the first time in his life, he was no one. The security quarters were a row of cramped rooms near the rear of the estate. They smelled faintly of sweat and cheap disinfectant. Inside, 5 other guards shared the space. Metal bunk beds, thin foam mattresses, and a single standing fan created a stifling atmosphere. "New guy?" A tall, lean man with tribal marks asked, offering a handshake. "IB Bala, night supervisor." "You Colonel, ABI?" "Yes." "Good to meet you," Chinedu replied. The men welcomed him with casual jokes and complaints about salary delays. No one knew he was the heir to the company whose name was painted on every billboard in town. But Chinedu's mission wasn't only about humility or escape. It was about connection. And that connection began to spark when he met Amaka Ease, a soft-spoken but fierce site cleaner who mopped the building lobbies every morning and evening. Amaka wasn't like the women he had met in Lagos. She had no expensive perfume or designer heels. Her hands were calloused from work, her laughter unfiltered, her Yoruba mixed with the lilt of a Nugu. They first crossed paths during a lunch break, when she noticed him sitting alone by the construction fence. "You look lost," she said with a crooked smile, offering him a bottle of water. "Maybe I am," he answered, taking it gratefully. She laughed. "Then welcome to the land of the lost. We all day survive here." Their conversations became regular. She never asked about his past, never pressed him for more than he offered. It was refreshing. But even as Chinedu started to feel something genuine blooming, he was reminded of the walls he'd built. One evening, while standing guard, he overheard a conversation between 2 foremen. "Did you hear? The son of the owner, that billionaire Chinedu Okafor, disappeared. Rumors say he's hiding in London. Nah, rich people problem be that. Him no fit survive here 1 week." Chinedu clenched his jaw and turned away. He was surviving. But at what cost? Night patrol was lonely work. Chinedu stood beneath a flickering streetlight, watching the silhouette of the buildings loom under the starless Abuja sky. The hum of distant generators filled the silence as crickets chirped around the freshly cut lawns of Green Haven residences. His uniform itched against his skin, and the baton at his side felt like a weight of irony. 2 weeks ago, he'd signed off on a 300 million Nigerian nairas contract from the penthouse office of Okafor Towers. Tonight, he was earning 50,000 Nigerian nairas a month to guard the gate to a world he used to own. But it wasn't all regret. The more time he spent among the workers, the more he saw the cracks in the empire his father had built. Cracks hidden behind polished marble and boardroom reports. Site engineers who took bribes. Contractors who cut corners. Supervisors who mistreated staff. And Amaka, who remained a quiet beacon in the madness. They often met during early dawns. She'd be scrubbing the marble tiles of Block C, and he'd pretend to be checking CCTV wires, just to be near her. "I hear they're increasing the cleaning crew's hours again," Chinedu said one morning. Amaka wiped sweat from her brow. "As if we're robots. This job, it go kill person before poverty does. Why don't you quit?" She looked at him, amused. "Quit go where? My younger sister is in school in Nsukka. My mama day sick. I no get that kind privilege like you security boys who just day stand." Chinedu chuckled to himself. If only she knew. But pretending to be poor had its limits. That evening, as the workers gathered near the kitchen to share dinner, rice with dry stew, Chinedu's stomach twisted at the blandness. Still, he ate in silence. No chef, no wine, just boiled rice and heat. That night, Mr. Okoye, one of the older guards, pulled him aside. "Colonel," he said in a whisper, "you're different. The way you talk, the way you walk. You even day read book during break time." Chinedu's heart skipped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, I don't believe your story. But I'll keep quiet. Just be careful. People here no go like secrets." The next day, his father arrived. Chief Emeka Okafor, with his convoy of SUVs, silk agbada, and a voice that made engineers scramble like ants. He had come to inspect the site unannounced, flanked by board members and project managers. Chinedu stayed hidden behind a pillar, heart racing as he watched his father bark orders at the foreman. Their eyes met for a split second, but the chief looked away, unaware that the sweaty guard in the background was his only son. It stung more than expected. As the convoy left in a trail of dust and ego, Chinedu sat on the curb, breathing heavily. Then, Amaka appeared beside him. "You all right?" He nodded. "Just tired." She handed him a packet of groundnut. "Small strength for you, Mr. Night Watch." Chinedu looked at her. No makeup, no filters, no expectations. And for the first time since abandoning his empire, he whispered to himself, "Maybe this is where I truly belong." Chinedu was used to boardrooms and shareholders, not buckets and mops. But he had come to admire Amaka's grit. She wasn't loud, but her strength rang out in the way she carried herself, in the fire behind her eyes when someone crossed a line. One afternoon, Chinedu saw that fire. A new site supervisor named Mr. Desmond had just been transferred from Lagos. Slick, arrogant, and always quick with insults, he strutted around like he owned the estate. That day, he cornered Amaka near the service elevator with an ugly smirk on his face. "You missed a spot," he barked, pointing at a clean corner of marble tile. "I didn't," Amaka replied, her voice steady. "You dare argue with me? I said I cleaned it. You can check the camera if you want." Desmond stepped closer, too close. "You think because you get pretty face, you can talk like that?" Chinedu dropped his maintenance tools and stepped in. "She said she cleaned it." Desmond turned, sizing up the supposed lowly security guard. "And you are who?" "Her bodyguard." Chinedu held his ground. "Just someone who knows how to talk with respect." Desmond scoffed. "Keep talking. You go soon find yourself jobless." He stormed off, muttering threats under his breath. Amaka exhaled slowly. "You shouldn't have interfered," she said. "I couldn't just stand there. I've handled worse." "I believe you," Chinedu said, then added softly, "but still, I'm here." She looked at him for a long second before walking away, her shoulders stiff but proud. That moment lingered in Chinedu's mind the rest of the day. Later, during his evening patrol, Mr. Okoye approached him again. "That Desmond na devil. But what you did today, I respect that. I didn't do it for respect." Mr. Okoye raised an eyebrow. "You did it for her?" Chinedu gave a small smile. Okoye chuckled. "You dey fall." Chinedu didn't answer. But deep inside, he knew the old man was right. Amaka wasn't just a girl to him now. She was a mirror, showing him who he was becoming without the suits and bank accounts. Still, secrets are heavy things. That night, in the dim glow of the staff quarters, Chinedu opened his phone in secret. A message from his father flashed at the top. "Your little experiment is dragging too long. Come back, or I'll bring you back myself." Chinedu stared at the screen. No reply. He wasn't done yet, especially not with her still around. The rainy season had come in full force. Dark clouds rolled in above Abuja, and heavy showers pounded the rooftops of the Kalu Group housing estate like war drums. Chinedu stood by the main gate, soaked beneath his thin uniform, watching as the rain turned the ground into a mirror of puddles and mud. He didn't mind. He had known colder nights, lonelier ones in penthouse apartments where silence echoed louder than thunder. Inside the estate's central canteen, the workers huddled, waiting for the rain to pass. Amaka was there too, shaking water from her scarf. She spotted Chinedu still outside and narrowed her eyes. Why was he always doing too much? Minutes later, she came out holding a plastic bag. "Take," she said, handing him a warm meat pie wrapped in newspaper. "You haven't eaten, right?" Chinedu blinked, surprised. "How did you know? You look like someone who forgets himself easily." He took the meat pie, his hand brushing hers. "Thank you. Eat before rain wash you away." They both laughed softly. For a moment, the rain didn't matter. The company name, the fake job, his father's threats, all disappeared under that moment's shelter. But fate rarely stays quiet. That evening, Emeka, one of the older guards, leaned against the lockers and said something that made Chinidu's blood freeze. "Una here. Big Oga, Mr. Kalu himself, day come estate tomorrow. Him one inspect the new staff area." Chinidu's heart thudded. His father was coming. To the estate. To the very ground where he was playing the role of Emmanuel the security guard. He couldn't afford to be seen. That night, Chinidu met with Mr. Okoye behind the security post. "I need your help," he said quietly. Okoye lit his cigarette, nodding. "Your Walla Don finally catch up with you. I need to disappear for the day. I'll return after he's gone. And if Amaka asks where you are?" Chinidu hesitated. "Tell her anything." But the next morning came too fast. The estate buzzed with tension. Black SUVs rolled in. Men in suits swept the area. And at the center of it all stood Chief Maxwell Kalu, towering, sharp-eyed, his cane clicking on the tiles like a judge's gavel. Amaka, unaware of anything deeper, served tea to the visitors, until she overheard something strange. "Emmanuel," a manager whispered to Chief Kalu, "looks just like your son, sir. But in uniform." The chief's eyes narrowed. Amaka turned, puzzled. "What son? What uniform?" Later that afternoon, Chinidu, now in plain clothes and watching from a nearby rooftop, saw his father pacing angrily, barking orders. He had to leave before things exploded. But that night, as he crept back into the quarters, Amaka stood waiting for him. "So, your name is not Emmanuel?" Her voice was low. He froze. The rain had returned, gentler now, but every drop seemed to land like a bullet. "You lied to me." He stepped forward. "Amaka, let me explain." "No. Let me ask. Who are you really?" He stared at her, at the hurt blooming in her eyes. The charade was falling apart. And so was everything he had hoped to build with her. The silence between them was deafening. Amaka's eyes searched his face, seeking an explanation, but all Chinidu could do was stand there, drenched and guilty. His heart was pounding in his chest, the weight of his secret pressing down on him like a heavy stone. "I never meant to deceive you," Chinidu finally said, his voice shaky. "I just wanted to find out if I could be more than the son of a rich man. I thought if I could live like everyone else, I'd understand the world better. Understand you better." Amaka folded her arms, her expression unreadable. "So all this time, you were pretending? You weren't really one of us, were you? You just wanted to see how we live?" Chinidu looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "I didn't want to be treated like a rich kid. I wanted to know if you would still care for me if you knew the truth." Amaka's voice was steady, though her hands were clenched in anger. "I care for you, Chinidu, but not the lie. Not the man who hides behind a uniform, pretending to be someone he's not." Chinidu took a deep breath, stepping closer to her. "Amaka, please. I'm not pretending to be a poor man. I'm trying to find who I really am, outside of my father's name. I didn't think it would go this far. I just didn't expect to," he faltered, his voice trailing off as he saw the hurt in her eyes. "You didn't expect to what?" she asked, her voice now sharp. "You didn't expect to fall for me? You didn't expect that we'd actually have a connection?" He nodded slowly, his heart sinking. "Yes." Amaka looked away, wiping her face with her hand, but the tears were already there. "I trusted you, Chinidu. I trusted the man I thought you were, and now, I don't know who you are anymore." Chinidu stepped back, his mind racing. This wasn't just about his father, his wealth, or his lie anymore. It was about her, Amaka, the one person who had made him feel something real. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." She shook her head, turning to walk away, but then she stopped. "Don't bother explaining yourself anymore. If you really care about me, you'll show me who you are. No more lies. No more games." And with that, she walked into the rain, leaving Chinidu standing alone in the courtyard. The following days were filled with tension. Chinidu barely slept, replaying every moment with Amaka in his head. How had things gone so wrong? He hadn't meant to fall for her, Not like this. But he had. And now, he wasn't sure if he could fix it. His father's presence loomed over him, the upcoming company inspection was still looming, and his lie had already been uncovered. He couldn't undo what had been done. But he had to try to make things right with Amaka. After the long workday, Chinedu found himself at the security post, staring out into the quiet estate. The night was thick with humidity, and the air seemed heavier than ever. His thoughts were racing, trying to find a solution. But nothing seemed to make sense anymore. Just then, Okoye appeared, stepping into the dim light of the security post. "You've been avoiding me, my friend," Okoye said with a knowing smile. "And Amaka too, I assume?" Chinedu sighed. "I messed up, Okoye. I really did. I knew from the start, the way you moved. You were never going to stay in that uniform long." Okoye chuckled softly. "But you still got your heart in the right place, Chinedu. Just don't give up on it. People here, they're watching, waiting. They'll see who you truly are, not just your father's name." Chinedu stared at him. "I don't know if I can fix this. I've lost her." Okoye placed a hand on his shoulder. "You haven't lost her yet. But you need to show her that you're not just pretending anymore. You need to be honest with yourself first. Only then will she believe in you." Chinedu nodded slowly, grateful for Okoye's words. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, Chinedu did something he never thought he would do. He showed up to work in his plain uniform again, but this time, there was no pretending. No more acting like a poor security guard. No more hiding behind a false identity. He was Chinedu Kalu, the son of a wealthy businessman, yes, but also a man who wanted to carve out his own path. Amaka was already there, giving instructions to some of the other workers. She didn't look up as he approached, but her heart skipped a beat when she heard his voice. "I'm sorry, Amaka. I've been lying to you. But I'm done with the lies now. I want to start over. I want to be honest. Not just with you, but with everyone." Amaka paused and turned to face him, her expression softening. "You're really serious, aren't you?" "I am. No more pretending. Just me. The real me." She studied him for a long moment, and then, slowly, she nodded. "Okay. I'm willing to give you a chance. But you better not mess this up, Chinedu." Chinedu smiled, relief flooding through him. "I won't." For the first time in a long while, he felt like he was on the right path. But there was still a long road ahead, one that would test his resolve and force him to face his past head-on. Chinedu's decision to be truthful to Amaka and the estate workers would soon be put to the test. Chief Maxwell Kalu was not a man who took kindly to his son's antics, especially when it involved lying to the workers in his company. Late one night, as Chinedu was preparing for bed in his small quarters, he received a call from his father. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" His father's voice boomed through the phone. "I'm coming to the estate tomorrow, and you better be ready to face the consequences of your actions." Chinedu swallowed hard, bracing himself for the storm that was about to hit. His father's wrath was legendary, and now, Chinedu had no choice but to confront it. The next morning, the air was thick with anticipation. Chinedu knew what was coming. He had done what he could, but now it was time to face his father. As the Kalu Group chairman arrived at the estate, Chinedu stood at the gates, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. His heart raced, but he stood tall, ready to own up to his choices. "Father," he said when Chief Kalu approached, his voice steady, "I know what I've done. I've been dishonest with you, with Amaka, with everyone. But I can't keep living in your shadow anymore. I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for a chance to prove myself, on my own terms." Chief Kalu's face twisted with anger. "You dare question me in front of my own people?" Chinedu didn't flinch. "I'm not questioning you, father. I'm telling you I'm going to live my life the way I choose. And if you can't accept that, then I'm sorry. But this is who I am." For the first time in years, there was no argument. The silence hung in the air, thick and heavy. Would his father finally see him as more than just his son? The storm was far from over, but Chinedu had taken the first step towards becoming the man he had always wanted to be. The days following the confrontation with his father were tense. Chief Kalu left the estate that day, his fury still evident, but Chinedu knew he had done the right thing. Now, he had to prove himself, not just to his father, but to everyone who had doubted him. He had to rebuild the trust he had lost with Amaka. Amaka was still hesitant, and Chinedu understood why. She had seen the man behind the mask, the rich heir who had hidden his true identity. But now, she saw something different in him, a man ready to take responsibility for his actions. He showed up at the estate early every morning, helping with the workers, making sure the operations ran smoothly. He no longer hid behind the uniform, nor did he hide from the truth. He was honest, dependable, and true to his word. Slowly, Amaka began to notice the changes in him. One evening, after a long day's work, Chinedu found Amaka sitting under a tree, the golden light of the setting sun casting a soft glow on her face. She was reading something, but she looked up as he approached. "Chinedu," she said, her voice steady but filled with an undercurrent of emotion, "I've seen the way you've been working lately. It's not just the work, it's who you are now. The real you. And I'm starting to believe in you again." Chinedu's heart lifted. "Amaka, I've always cared about you. I may have been wrong before, but I'll keep proving to you that I'm not the same person who lied to you." She smiled softly, closing the book in her hands. "I think you've proven that already. I can't promise you everything will be perfect, but I'll give you another chance." Chinedu felt a weight lift off his chest. "Thank you, Amaka. I won't let you down." Months passed, and with each passing day, Chinedu's relationship with Amaka grew stronger. The estate had transformed as well. Under Chinedu's leadership, the workers had seen an improvement in their conditions, and the estate became more efficient. He wasn't just the son of a wealthy man anymore. He had earned his place in the world. One day, as the sun set on the estate, Chinedu and Amaka stood side by side, looking out over the land. They had come a long way, both of them. "I never imagined I would end up here," Chinedu said, his voice filled with awe. "I thought I was destined for a life where my last name defined me. But now, I've found something that's worth more than money or status." Amaka turned to him, her eyes soft and filled with affection. "What's that?" "You," he said, taking her hand in his. "I found something real, something that has nothing to do with wealth or inheritance. It's you, Amaka. You and the life we're building together." Amaka smiled, her heart full. "And I found the real you, Chinedu. A man who isn't afraid to show his true self. That's what matters." They stood there in silence for a moment, the future ahead of them, no longer clouded by lies and deceit. Chinedu had learned a valuable lesson. True success wasn't measured by money or status, but by the relationships you built and the integrity you held onto. As they walked together back toward the house, hand in hand, Chinedu knew that he had found everything he needed to be truly happy. He was no longer just a rich heir. He was a man who had found love, redemption, and a future he could be proud of. And with Amaka by his side, the journey ahead seemed brighter than ever before. This story teaches us that honesty, sacrifice, and self-transformation are the keys to building healthy relationships and finding true happiness. Chinedu, who was initially trapped in a life full of lies, finally realizes that wealth and social status won't bring true happiness. His sincerity and bravery in showing his true self led him to a great change in his life. It's a valuable lesson about the importance of taking responsibility for our actions, striving to be better, and maintaining relationships with the ones we love. For all of us, there may be times when we're caught up in mistakes or lies, but there is always a way to improve ourselves and regain the trust of others if we are willing to change and fight with a sincere heart. Thank you for following Chinedu and Amaka's journey in this story. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give a like, comment, and subscribe to support us in bringing more exciting stories. See you in the next story.